I created this illustration in about 30 seconds, and it's a bunch of frogs surrounding. It looks like a knight with a shield and a spear. And it's a pretty basic design. And you could use this for an illustration or a t-shirt or a coffee mug. You could put a funny saying underneath it. And really the design is pretty straightforward. It's based on, I'll just remove the Photoshop pieces here. It's based on this design, which is really based on this design, which is a page out of a children's fairy tale book. And I'm going to show you where you can find this design and about 60,000 other free books that are all in the public domain. They're all legal, and they're great to read. They're great to see if there's pictures hidden inside of them, and it's an awesome resource. I absolutely love free resources. You just can't beat free. So the name of this website is called Gutenberg.org, and the name of the website is Project Gutenberg. Now this is a library of over 60,000 free eBooks. Now look, I'm going to tell you right now, not every book is a complete home run. You're not going to find a book with, the best-selling designs all sitting there for free. But what I would do with this is I search through these different books. I just go up here to the search. I go up to bookshelves. That gives me a lot of different things that I can look at. They've just got them sort of sitting here, and I'm just going to pick one at random. I'm going to go up to children's bookshelf, and then inside of children's bookshelf, I'm going to search, and here's one, children's picture books, about 43,000 downloads. There's also children's histories. There's a lot of different stuff here. So I'm going to click on children's picture books, and let's see what comes up. This is awesome. This is favorite fairy tales. There's a few different ones here. So I'm going to click on favorite fairy tales just to see what this looks like. And we have a couple different options here. You can read the book online in HTML format, which is nice. If you have a digital reader, like an Adobe digital reader, you can do an EPUB. You can also do a Kindle with images or without images, or even just plain text. So what I like about this is it gives you the bibliographic record underneath it, and then it also gives you the copyright status. And I think that's important because the idea is it's not enough to just grab a free image. Someday, if someone comes out of the fog and says, hey, you've used my design, you can point to source and you can say, no, I've taken it from this book on this page. It says here it's public domain. Thank you so much. Goodbye. So I'm just going to open up this one here, this first one, read this book online HTML, and we'll just see what pops up with that. This is just like a web browser version, and there's the book cover, and then underneath it is basically different pages. So some of the illustrations are in color, and then a lot of the illustrations will be in black and white as well. And it's also the actual book. So even if you just wanted to read like a fairy tale, like if you're sitting around one night and you're like, hey, how does Jack and the Beanstalk actually go? Well, go to page 155. There it is, Jack and the Beanstalk. Now there's some very simplistic pictures, but if you were, making a t-shirt, doing a coloring book, if you had a project and you wanted old, simple illustrations, this is a nice resource. So again, this is just one of 60,000 books. But if you're looking for stock photos that you can use that are relatively the same, you can go through a book and you can find 30, 40, sometimes 50 illustrations that all have the same look and feel because they would have been drawn by the same artistic team. So that can sometimes be a nice resource. Let's try one more example because sometimes, as much as I love these free websites, they can be a little difficult to navigate. So just remember, at the very top, there's a search and browse feature, and most people will go, oh, book search, that's the first result. But I like to go to bookshelves if I'm just going to browse. I don't really know what I'm looking for. And when you click on bookshelves, you're going to see a whole bunch of different categories. And there's just countless categories here, right? I mean, it just goes on and on. I'm just going to go back into children's bookshelf just for a second. And I'm going to click on this other category, which is Christmas. So there's 31,000 downloads here. And what that means is that these are the people that have downloaded, like this is the number of downloads that we've got. So here's A Christmas Carol, there's 19,000 downloads. It doesn't mean there's 19,000 books necessarily, but you can click over on the right-hand side and you can see, you can continue to go along and you can see the number of downloads that have happened. So you just keep going and you can go forward and back if that's what you'd like to do. I'm just going to take a look here at this for a second, and I'm going to look for a picture book, because if I'm a graphic designer, I'd like to see what's available. Well, here's one here. It says A Christmas Hamper, a volume of pictures and stories for little folks. Sounds good to me. I'm going to click on that. So now again, I get the exact same images here, or the exact same options rather, and I can click on just read this book. So I'm in my web browser and I can scroll on down. It says your author is various. And I like reading the legality of it just right here, just to make sure. This ebook is for the use of anyone, anywhere in the United States and most other parts of the world at no cost and with almost no restrictions whatsoever. You may copy it, give it away, or reuse it under the terms of the Project Gutenberg license included with this ebook. What that means is it's basically public domain. So again, I'll throw out the disclaimer that you'd want to have, it says right here, this book was produced from scanned images of public domain material from the Google Books project. If it's on Project Gutenberg, chances are it's either public domain or there's no license holder for it. But again, I do need to throw out that disclaimer because it could happen someday that somebody uploads some Spider-Man comic and all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't want to be a big liar. So you don't want to check the license. But generally speaking, if it's an old-timey book like this, it will be safe to use. So this would be really nice if you wanted to use this. I'm just going to scroll in here a bit. This would be really nice if you were creating, say, a Christmas card. You could just remove this piece at the top if you're in Photoshop or some sort of graphic software, and you have a really nice vintage illustration here at the bottom. As I scroll on through, here's another one. We've got some kitties playing there. And then I'll keep scrolling, and now we get to some black and white pictures. So these are like old time, Victorian photos. So again, I'm not saying every single one would be a winner, but if you digitally colorize this, you'd have yourself a really nice Christmas card. If you've got an Etsy shop or something where you're dealing in vintage images, this could be a really nice, easy resource because it's just right here. You could throw this through vector software and make it infinitely more crisp if you wanted, or just keep it as is. You could color it. There's just a lot of different options here. And this is just one book. I just picked this at random. So there's like tens of thousands of books on this website that you could take a look through. And, I would just look through. I've spent hours just looking through these. And these are also really nice to just read. Even if you don't like the images, you click on here, A Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens, 1,346 downloads. This is just the actual book. So if I click on it, here again is some nice old timey, Christmas card stuff. And then there's the actual story. So you could actually read through. So if you want to grab text, this is really nice because if you're ever, say you're in a project and you need the text from a book, well, if it's a public domain book, here you go. Copy it and you're good to go. You can now dump it into your project, or you could use the text for whatever reason you want. So the text itself is public domain in addition to the illustrations as well. I just love these old-timey vintage illustrations. So again, the name of the website is called Gutenberg.org. The name of the website is called Project Gutenberg. And it's a really nice, I think, easy to navigate website. There's just a ton of different stuff on here. I typically go to the bookshelves, but there is other features as well. Search and browse, frequently downloaded, even recently added is nice too. If you go to frequently downloaded or top 100, this will give you sort of the big ones. This is the top 100 ebooks yesterday. Frankenstein, Pride and Prejudice, The Great Gatsby, Alice in Wonderland, Tale of Two Cities, Sherlock Holmes. Like these are some, Moby Dick, like these are some pretty big time books, right? So before you go off to the bookstore and pay somebody money for that, version of Dracula, you can just download the original Dracula book right here. Dracula pops up. I can read this book. And then as I scroll on down, I could start reading the actual original Dracula book. So I hope you found that helpful. This is a really cool resource for both images and also for the actual text of public domain books as well.